What's up, guys? This is Acid Roots. P.O.D dropped a new song, which probably is going to lead to a new album, so I wanted to get this reaction going. So, P.O.D's last project came out in 2015, but it only had one single. It charted decently. I think a lot of folks will probably say that it doesn't match their satellite and self-titled album days, between 1999 and about 2004. So, that I delved into POD last year, and I think I reviewed their 2012 album, but then I kind of took a break. I actually do own three POD albums, one of which is Satellite, which is the one I listen to the most, but they do actually have hits on their 1999 album, which I'm trying to get into more, and then the 2012 one. So the next one I plan on getting is their 2003 project, which did have a couple singles. And then there's also the Matrix Reloaded soundtrack, which has a secret song that they released to radio as well. So I reviewed all that. That's all taken care of. They're apparently dropping a new album now. They do have a pretty wide scope, but I still think, like a lot of new metal bands, it seems like their heyday was, good 14, 15 years ago. But I'm not going to write them off like that. And, obviously, this song takes it back to the satellite days. So if you're saying you missed that sound, they said in their description when they released Soundboy Killa that they were going to give us an edge, that's the attitude and edge that the attitude and edge that's missing in today's rock and roll. So I didn't have a problem with that. Really, it reminds me of the satellite days as far as folks who are actually rapping, doing rock songs while rapping at the same time. The only other folks that I can think that's done that this year is pretty much Hollywood Undead. I mean, there's no Limp Bizkit in sight. Korn does more singing. Linkin Park is defunct. So we're really looking at, just these guys to be able to do it unless Kid Rock decides to re-evaluate doing rap rock again. But this is good, POD can definitely handle it. So this song reminds me a lot of Boom and Alive. Couple other songs thrown in there if you really remember them. And so the video just talks about, I mean, that's how the lyrics are handled. It kind of has a reggae feel to it. They get some pawns in there and that sort of stuff that they say, the Jamaican lingo. So it's a nice touch, but it's mostly rap that you're gonna hear, and it has a ready to go chorus. I mean, it basically is identical to their satellite days. So, but that, it's interesting to see if they're going to be able to get this album up on the road. The main thing about it is, though, is it's not so much the first single that I see POD struggling with as much as it is the follow-up ones. I mean, that's what made Satellite and the South Element, their 1999 album, that's what made those two albums so good, is the fact that they were able to realize what exactly the crowds wanted the second and third time around. So I know that they can probably make this song chart, supposing it does, but the question is, this is what's going to cause people to say 2 or 3 years from now, whether or not this was as good as Satellite, is whether or not they do have that second and third hit. So if they can do it, I have no problem with saying it, but I'd like to think, 2 or 3 months later, this isn't just going to be another album on the shelf once the single gets old. So that's just the thing. I know obviously I can throw this sort of album talk anywhere, but that's what POD needs to do. Korn doesn't really have that problem. Linkin Park doesn't really have that problem. Sometimes Kid Rock doesn't really have that problem, but I'm curious just because their 2012 album managed to get multiple hits, but then that was 5 years ago. So it just, 5 years, half a decade, and we're going into the sixth year and that sort of thing. So that's so it'll be interesting to see.